No shifting deck chairs kind of trade. We are talking about a genuine head-scratching.
Yeah.
Did they really just do that? Blockbuster.
It's a bold one. I mean, I think shock is the right word.
Yeah.
You don't usually see this specific kind of swap where a contender and a rebuilder essentially decide to swap timelines in the middle of the season.
It feels like a glitch in the simulation.
It really does.
So we're looking at the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And on the surface, honestly, it looks like Minnesota just panicked. And Chicago just, I don't know, got greedy.
Or maybe confused, yeah.
But the deep dive here is fascinating because it is a perfect clash of philosophies. It's win now crashing headfirst into high upside.
Right, but it's even riskier than that. It's more like mortgage the future versus stockpile assets. And when you peel back the layers, you realize both teams are making a massive gamble.
A huge one.
A huge gamble on what they think the league is going to look like in, say, 3 years.
So let's stop teasing it. Let's get the names on the board because that's where the confusion starts for him.
Okay.
The Chicago Bulls are walking away with a haul. They get rookie guard Rob Dillingham and forward Leonard Miller.
Yep.
Now, Dillingham is the headline here. Everyone talks about his upside. I keep seeing that word plastered everywhere, but translate that for me. When we say upside for a guy like Dillingham, what are we actually looking at?
We're looking at electricity, pure and simple.
Electricity. Okay.
When scouts talk about Dillingham's upside, they aren't talking about him being, a solid floor general. They are talking about a microwave scorer.
So he can just heat up instantly.
Instantly. He's shifty. He has one of the best handles in his class, and he can create his own shot off the dribble from basically anywhere on the floor.
So he's not just a guy who stands in the corner and waits for a pass.
Oh, far from it. He is the offense. Or he could be. Think about guys like Darius Garland or Tyrese Maxey, smaller guards who are lightning quick and can just fill it up. That is the archetype Chicago is betting on.
So the upside is that he becomes a primary offensive engine.
Exactly. A guy who drops 25 a night and just terrifies defenses because they literally can't stay in front of him.
Okay, so he's a bucket getter. That sounds great. Why on earth would Minnesota want to get rid of that?
Because the flip side of that electricity is usually chaos. He's a rookie. And specifically, he's a small scoring guard. In the NBA, that usually means he's going to get hunted on defense. He's going to turn the ball over, trying to make the highlight play.
Yeah, miss rotations.
All of it. That is the baggage that comes with all that potential. He needs time to make mistakes and, learn from them.
And Minnesota doesn't have time.
We'll get to that, but no, they absolutely do not.
Before we move off Chicago's haul, you mentioned Leonard Miller. I feel like his name just gets tacked on at the end of the tweet. Is he just a throw-in?
See, I wouldn't sleep on Leonard Miller. He might be the sweetener in the deal, but he's a fascinating one.
Okay.
He's a long, athletic forward, great rebounder, very high motor. He's raw, yes. But if you're Chicago, he's exactly the kind of lottery ticket you want to scratch.
So he's another project.
He is. But in the modern NBA, having a 6'10" guy who can run the floor and handle the ball a bit, that's gold if he hits.
So Chicago gets two high-ceiling, low-floor guys.
That's the bet. A lot of potential.
Okay, so Chicago gets the potential. Now, let's look at what Minnesota got. They sent out all that youth, all that future promise.
Yeah.
And they got back Ayo Dosunmu.
Ayo Dosunmu. And if Dillingham is the maybe, Dosunmu is the definitely.
See, this is the part I'm struggling with. I know Dosunmu is solid. I've watched him play. But Minnesota drafted Dillingham in the lottery.
It did?
They clearly liked him.
Oh.
Why pull the plug so fast? Why trade a guy who could be a star for a guy who is, well, a role player?
Because solid wins playoff games. You have to look at the pressure cooker Minnesota is in right now. They aren't rebuilding. They are in the second apron tax hell, which basically means their roster is incredibly expensive and hard to improve.
And they have stars.
They have stars like Anthony Edwards entering their prime. When you are firmly in a championship window, you cannot afford to have a rookie learning on the job in May.
You mean when Luka or Jokic is staring you down in a playoff series?
Exactly that. In a Game 6, do you want the rookie who might score 20 but might also give up 20 on the other end? Or do you want Ayo Dosunmu?
Okay, so break down Dosunmu's game for me in that specific context.
Yeah.
Why is he the win now piece?
Because he's a plug-and-play problem solver. He defends the perimeter at a very high level.
Okay.
He fights over screens. He takes care of the ball, very low turnover rate. And critically, he's improved his catch-and-shoot three-point shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective.
So he just fix around the stars they already have.
Perfectly. Minnesota looked at their roster and said, We don't need another star scorer in 3 years. We need a guy who can get a stop on an elite guard tomorrow.
They need reliability.
That's the word. Dosunmu has been through the battles. He's not going to look like a deer in the headlights.
That's a really interesting way to put it. It feels like they traded a theoretical mansion that might get built in 2028 for a fully furnished apartment they can move into tonight.
That is the perfect analogy. And remember, they need to sleep somewhere tonight.
Yeah.
The Western Conference is a bloodbath.
It's brutal.
1 or 2 losses is the difference between the 3 seed and the play-in. They decided they value the certainty of the apartment over the blueprints of the mansion.
But isn't there a massive risk there?
Oh, it's terrifying.
Right, because if they don't win the ring...
Then they just traded a potential all-star for a role player and have nothing to show for it. That is the terror of the win-now move. It's binary.
Win or fail.
Exactly. You either win or you failed. There is no middle ground where you say, well, we had a nice season. If Dillingham turns into a star in Chicago and Minnesota gets bounced in the second round, this trade looks horrific in hindsight.
It's high-stakes poker. They just pushed all the chips in.
They did. And frankly, they didn't have much of a choice. When you have a roster this expensive, you kind of owe it to the franchise to maximize the immediate window.
That's fair.
But it takes guts to trade a rookie that talented before he even really plays.
Okay, so Minnesota is sweating it out at the casino. Let's flip to Chicago.
Right.
Because if Minnesota's strategy is clear, albeit risky, Chicago's strategy is just giving me a headache.
How so?
I'm looking at their depth chart. It's a traffic jam. They already have Kobe White, who just had a massive breakout year. They just traded for Josh Giddey recently, and he needs a ball in his hands.
Right.
They've got Lonzo Ball supposedly trying to come back. Zach LaVine is still hovering around. Why in the world are they bringing in another ball-dominant guard?
It definitely looks messy on paper, doesn't it? It's like buying a sports car when your driveway is already full of sedans.
Exactly. Where is he going to play? 12 minutes a game.
This goes back to the concept of asset accumulation. See, when you aren't winning, and let's be honest, the Bulls aren't contending for a title this year. You don't draft or trade for fit.
You don't care about the driveway being full.
You don't. You care about the value of the car.
So it's strictly about talent.
Strictly. The Bulls front office is looking at this and saying, Rob Dillingham has a higher ceiling than almost anyone on our roster. They are betting on the talent. They'll sort out the rotation later.
So you just hoard the talent and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That sounds chaotic.
It is chaotic, but it's also strategic. By getting Dillingham, they give themselves options.
How so?
Well, maybe Dillingham beats out Kobe White. Maybe this makes Kobe White expendable for a trade to get a big man. Maybe Giddey doesn't work out.
So this might be the first domino. It's not the final roster.
Almost certainly not. You don't bring in a high-usage rookie like Dillingham to have him sit in the corner. You bring him in to see if he's the guy. This signals that Chicago is ready to pivot again. They are prioritizing 2028 over 2026. They are willing to be bad, or at least disjointed right now, if it means they find a superstar for the next era.
It's like they're auditing their own team. Okay, everyone fight for the ball, and whoever wins gets to stay.
A little bit. It's survival of the fittest. And remember, they also got Leonard Miller in this.
Right.
So they are getting younger and longer. While Minnesota is narrowing their focus to winning today, Chicago is widening their net to catch something great for tomorrow.
It really highlights the difference in pressure, doesn't it? Minnesota feels like a pressure cooker. Chicago feels like a laboratory.
That's a great distinction. Chicago has the luxury of patience. Their fans might not feel patient.
No, they don't.
No, but the front office is buying time. They can sell the fans on, look at this exciting rookie, look at the future. Minnesota can't sell the future. They have to sell wins now.
Which brings us back to the fans. I mentioned my phone blowing up earlier. If you look at the comments section on any of these trade announcements, it is an absolute war zone.
I'm not surprised.
Bulls fans are confused. Wolves fans are split. It seems like nobody knows how to feel.
Well, that's because they're judging the trade on 2 different scorecards.
Break that down.
Well, if you're a fan who loves highlight reels and dreaming about what a player could be, you think the Bulls fleeced them.
Right.
You're looking at Dillingham's college tape and seeing Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving. You're saying, we got a potential superstar for a solid role player. We won!
Okay, that's a talent scorecard.
Exactly. But if you're a fan who watches the games and sees the blown defensive assignments or gets frustrated when the team loses a close one because of a rookie mistake, you think the Wolves won. You're saying, we got a guy who helps us beat the Nuggets. We got serious.
It's the difference between playing the stock market and paying the mortgage.
Precisely. Minnesota is cashing out a volatile crypto stock to pay off the house. Chicago is buying that volatile stock, hoping it goes to the moon in 5 years.
And usually in these deep dives, we try to come to a verdict. But it sounds like you're saying the verdict is just going to change depending on what year it is.
It has to. I mean, if we judge this trade today, Minnesota looks smarter. They got the better player for today. Dosunmu is better than Dillingham right now. That's just a fact.
But in 3 years?
In 3 years, if Dillingham is averaging 26 points and 8 assists, and Dosunmu is still just a solid role player, then Chicago looks like geniuses.
Unless
Minnesota has a ring.
That's the trump card.
It's the ultimate trump card. Banners fly forever. If Ayo Dosunmu hits one big shot in the Western Conference Finals that helps Minnesota advance, nobody will care if Rob Dillingham becomes a Hall of Famer.
That is brutal, but it's true.
Think about the Raptors trading DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. It was a 1-year rental. They mortgaged a beloved franchise icon, but they won. So it was the greatest trade in franchise history.
And if they had lost in the second round?
It would have been a tragedy. That is the line Minnesota is walking right now.
I want to go back to the ripple effects for a second. We talked about how this changes the teams internally. But what does this tell us about the league right now? Because it feels like the middle class of the NBA is disappearing.
Yeah.
You're either all in or you're selling everything.
You're spotting a real trend there. The new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, has made it really hard to be pretty good. The penalties for having a high payroll are so severe now that teams are terrified of being stuck in the middle.
So Minnesota had to make a move because their payroll is so high.
Partly. They have to make every single dollar count. They can't pay a rookie lottery salary to a guy who is contributing to winning right now. Dosunmu is on a very team-friendly contract. He provides value that exceeds his cost.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal when you're counting pennies against the tax apron.
And for Chicago, being mediocre is the worst place to be.
It's death. Chicago has been stuck in the middle for years. Too good to get a top pick, too bad to win a series. This trade signals they are finally trying to break out of that. They're choosing a direction. It might be a step back to go forward, but at least it's a direction.
It's better than running on a treadmill.
Much better. Even if you fall off the treadmill, at least you're doing something different.
So let's wrap this up with a look forward.
Yeah.
We've got the trade details. Dillingham and Miller to the Windy City, Dosunmu to the Twin Cities. We know the motivations. What are you watching for in the next, say, 2 weeks?
For Minnesota, I'm watching the rotation. Whose minutes does Dosunmu take? Does he close games? That will tell us how much the coach trusts him. If he's on the floor in the last 5 minutes of a tight game, we know the trade worked from their perspective.
And for Chicago?
I'm watching the body language.
Yeah.
Seriously. I want to see how Coby White and Josh Giddey react to having another ball handler on the floor.
Yeah, does it get clunky?
Does it look disjointed? Do they share? And honestly, I'm waiting for the next Woj bomb. Because like we said, this feels like move 1 of 2.
You think so?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if another guard gets moved out of Chicago soon.
That's the thing about the NBA. One domino falls, and suddenly the whole board changes.
And that's